What's going on, everyone? This is a quick video that I want to cover that I've really wanted to talk about for a little bit, and I think now's a good time to. So, what we're going to be discussing is 7-OH, or 7-hydroxymitragynine. So, essentially, this is a product that's been in the head shops a lot recently, and it's been popping up more and more. And I know there's a lot of questions that come up with it. And once again, I can't give direct advice to you on experiences with it, but I can tell you what I've seen with it and advice I can give to you if you're trying to get off of it. So the big difference is a lot of people, well, actually, let me start with this. The big thing that people think is that Kratom is the same thing as the 7-OH, 7-hydroxymitragynine. I'm for right now just going to call it 7-OH though. And the big thing is they're not the same thing. 7-OH is synthetic, Kratom is not synthetic. Why people are getting it confused, it's because within Kratom, there's very, very, very small amounts of the 7-OH within it. And how they're being sold over the counter is it's synthetically pulled from it, and they're making an extract from the 7-OH, making it synthetic. If you just took Kratom by itself, yeah, there's a little bit of 7-OH in it, but not enough to do anything to you. It's a very, very, very small amount, as I just said. So it's not the same effect at all. There is a difference. And I know one thing I've been reading a lot about and just seeing in general is a lot of people are having a lot of withdrawals from the 7-OH in particular, acute withdrawals. Now, Kratom can have some withdrawal too, but it's the effect of what 7-OH has to people using it in the how addictive it can be to someone. I'm aware it could potentially be effective depending on your pain levels, and I know the big thing people will say is it helps them. It's, they're not using fentanyl anymore. They got off their pain medication. But the problem is when you're trying to get off the 7-OH, it's expensive, and the withdrawals are some serious things that you do not want to go through. For example, I'll just say this now. If you've been taking it for 3 months plus every day, and you're trying to get off of it, it's gonna be tough. Kratom can be as well, but not to the extent of 7-OH. And also, I just want to throw this out here. People saying, "Oh, we need to ban Kratom and 7-OH because they're the same thing." No, I'm not in favor of that. I think that if anything, 7-OH should be taken off, should not be sold in smoke shops, and should be, in my opinion, maybe banned. That's my own opinion, but Kratom, no, because they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. Synthetic versus not synthetic, and not even that argument. It's just the truth behind it. Just the effect. And I know plenty of people who've taken Kratom and they haven't really had serious withdrawals from it. Not saying that's everyone. There's plenty of people who do withdraw from it. But when it comes to those acute withdrawals and those negative consequences from taking these substances, in particular the 7-OH, it has a lot harsher and severe withdrawals and effects. So, but one thing that I've stumbled across that I've seen that's helped people for trying to get off the 7-OH, because the withdrawal, for example, it's going to be tough. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's going to be things flu-like, and I know I've had people get mad at me for saying this in the past, flu-like symptoms. That's the truth. That's the most comparable thing I can give to you to an opioid withdrawal is flu-like times 1,000 or 100. Plus, you're going from hot to cold, bone aching pain. So flu-like symptoms times 100 plus extra symptoms. Nausea, malaise, there's no pleasure for you. Things like this. And also, there have been some reports of some psychotic episodes from the 7-OH in particular because it's just so potent. It can be compared to taking morphine, for example. And that's one big difference between Kratom and 7-OH is Kratom it's not something where you're going to get, and I'm not just saying this to make someone mad or burst someone's bubble. If you're just taking the Kratom powder, getting high from it, you're not going to get high. You might feel a little bit better and your pain might be relieved, but if you take too much of it, you're going to get the wobbles. You're going to get double vision, and you'll know that you've taken too much, and you'll lower your dose. And over time, a lot of times when people take Kratom, their dose actually reduces, doesn't continue to increase. That's what the powder, that is. Powder, keyword. Not extract. But I just went on a tangent on that. But the big thing is, if you're trying to get off of the 7-OH, the biggest thing I can tell you is, first question is your frequency of use. How often are you taking it? How often are you using it? Second question with it, how often are you taking it? And third, what is your dose? How much of it are you taking? Are you taking multiple a day? How much of the 7-OH are you taking? Because that does play a part. And I say that because I think the most success somebody's going to have from getting off of it, assuming you're having to work as well, like you can't take a week off, and even if you do, it sometimes still is it's tough to do. The recommendation I would propose to you is, if you're trying to get off of the 7-OH, is this: you taper it. Let's say you're taking 2 of those pills a day or whatever. You drop it down to 1.5 over a week. Then you drop it down to 1 over the next week, so on and so forth. Once you get down to about a half of one or a little tiny speck left, and you can do this fast as well. It doesn't have to be drawn out, but this is how I would do it. When you have barely any left, then you go to a Kratom extract. And you might say, what do you mean a Kratom extract? What I mean by that is, if you go to a Kratom extract, it is more effective than just the Kratom powder or leaf, but it's not as powerful as 7-OH, which they sell those. You can get them online. You can get them in smoke shops. So when you get to the very end of the 7-OH, however you're tapering, add a Kratom extract. They've got Kratom shots. They've got powders, the pills, I guess. And I just say this once again because this is what I've noticed for people who've actually successfully gotten off of it long term with minimal side effects. Still have some, but it's just been the easiest transition for them without, going through hell and back. So you go to a Kratom extract. Then from there, you take that forever how long. You taper down on that. Then you add a Kratom powder. That's what annoys me is when people compare Kratom powder to 7-OH. Not the same thing as I just stated. Not at all the same thing. So you go from that Kratom extract to Kratom powder over a week or so. And then once you're at the Kratom powder, you can find a dose that's stable for you, or you can taper off that. That would be the easiest way to get off of it. And I'm telling everyone this because, once again, I've talked to people about this, and just in general, it just seems like the easiest way would be to do something where you're tapering. And obviously, there are methods, like if you can go to detox and that's an option, do that under medical supervision. But my one thing I'll say with that is, a lot of times they'll just want to put you on Suboxone or Methadone or even Sublocade, which is the shot now. And there's nothing wrong with any of those. I think any of those can be great treatments. But a lot of times people have taken Suboxone, Methadone in the past, and it's just not a solution for them. In particular, Methadone. You got to go to the Methadone clinic every day. There's a lot more factors that go into with Methadone, and even really Methadone, that it can just make it harder and you end up on something else and it's even harder to get off of. Suboxone can be an option, but once again, it's just not for everyone. And when you taper down to something like Kratom, it's kind of like a partial opioid agonist, kind of like Suboxone to an extent. Once again, Kratom doesn't completely attach to your opioid receptors, but it definitely affects them. It doesn't attach to them, though, but it affects them. It kind of tricks them into having that opioid-like feeling that people think sometimes. But it's completely different than something like 7-OH. 7-OH, there's a psychoactive aspect to it as well. And yeah, so just be on the lookout. It's like everything. Anytime there's something new on the market, like 7-OH, or even when there's like K2, it's all this synthetic stuff that they can get in that's technically legal, and there hasn't been really any testing for it. The people putting it out, a lot of times, oh, it's safe. They don't know the long-term effects of these. There aren't a lot of studies on them, and you don't know long-term what could potentially happen if you took it. And you're wanting to get off of it. It's expensive. This is just one option that I know of that people can utilize for success. So once again, the method is you go from the 7-OH to, you take it, drop the dose as fast or slow as you want. You taper it down to a little bit left of whatever it is. If you're taking 1 or 2 tabs a day, drop it over a couple weeks to like half of one or even less than that. And then from there, you use some kratom extract. As you get off the 7-OH completely, you take the kratom extract daily, drop that dose as well, and then you transition to kratom powder. And this is something I've noticed, and people have had success from it. And from there, you get off of that if you want. It's just, and why I say this is, it's just a way that can make it's a little bit more suitable for people who can't go to rehab, and people, if you don't have the money to go to rehab, you want to get past this and have long-term success. This is one way. And I know I'm going to get a lot of people in the comments saying, "Oh, that's bullshit. That's this." I don't care what you have to say about it. I'm just being honest, and I'm not opposed to medication-assisted treatment as well, like Suboxone, Methadone, Sublocade, you name it. I'm just putting something out there for people who don't have options like that, because the goal is to get off of everything completely, and this can make it a little bit easier, because even after a week of detoxing from 7-OH, that's just the physical aspect. It can be longer than that too, and then you add the mental cravings, that post-acute withdrawal, which is very hard for people. That's the anxiety, the depression, the mood swings, the ups and downs, you name it. And that can be just as hard. This just is a way that can be a little bit easier and give your brain some time to recover naturally, because if you're dropping it, you're still giving your brain kind of what it thinks it needs at the time, while it starts to replenish and you start to build up your dopamine levels again. And you start, with your opioid receptors, you start rebuilding again. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Check out my other videos I've been putting out. I'm covering celebrities right now in mental health crises they've went through. So check out the Britney Spears one. I'll have another one in a week or a couple weeks I'm working on. They take a lot longer to put out, but be on the lookout for those. Check out other videos. I cover everything mental health related, and yeah, that's it. Have a great week, everyone. Love you all.